Welcome back, Dodecadorks. We're the 12-sided guys. We have Scott as Ornan.
At your service.
Sabrina as Sylvie.
Oh, hello.
Jordan as Magram.
You're most welcome.
Matt as Guy.
That is my name. Don't wear it out.
And me, Paul, as the guy who recently had a birthday. You know who else recently had a birthday? Paul McCartney and Blake Shelton. Wow, I share a birthday with some really talented people. Maybe that's why my musical intros are so phenomenal. Now, there's someone else I share a birthday with, but I can't remember right off the bat. Maybe it'll come to me. Speaking of come to me to us in Salt Lake City at FanX 2024.
Wait, what? Speaking of come to me.
Speaking of come to meet us in Salt Lake City at FanX 2024.
Did not hear that T.
Subtlety.
Yeah.
I'm a master of subtlety.
It
Anyway.
definitely changed the meaning of that sentence.
Well, even if we don't get a booth, most of us will be there during the convention, and we'll make sure to have a get-together with our Intermountain West fans. So be practicing your favorite karaoke song, because we might end up doing that, and I know which song Sabrina's going to be singing. And the rocket's red glare. We're really looking forward to getting out from behind these microphones to come out and meet you all in person. My voice is much sexier in real life, just saying. Oh yeah, I just remembered who else I share a birthday with who is incredibly important in my life. Basically, my rock. I can't believe I forgot about rapper Silk the Shocker. Anyway, if you couldn't wait until you were 10 so you could finally start out on your own adventure, then this podcast is for you. It's Chorus of the Forsaken, episode 42.
I really thought 10 was going to be a more, exciting year than it was.
I haven't decided what Pokemon to get yet.
Technically, I guess he was actually 10 years, 10 months, and 10 days, which doesn't make sense to me, but that's what I read on Wiki.
And he stayed that age for 30 years.
You try to pull that, you might get arrested, so...
Well, hey, welcome back to Via Severia, and I guess along the river leaving Martin's Rest. Last time...
Have we decided on a boat name yet, by the way?
Well, we'll get there. Last time we were together, our party arrived back in Martin's Rest, and we had a couple flashbacks to the trip back. Some conversations were had, including a conversation between... let's see. Neldor spoke with Ornan and tried to find out why Ornan seemed to be so... there was so much animosity towards Neldor when it was actually Ornan's own party members who did the vast majority of the killing along the trip.
Okay, all right. We don't got to point any paws.
There was also a conversation between Annelise and Guy, as well as some of the other party and Guy. After the trip back to Martin's Rest, we were in the town. The prisoners were taken to the constabulary, to a prison, and they were locked up. And then the party decided to go and talk to Megan, the leader of the bandit group. She did not say much, but her body language gave away some information. In her pack, they found a broken staff of some kind, and when they tried to detect magic on it, they could detect the residue of magic. But because it was broken, it was no longer magic in and of itself. They kept that staff or stick and took it with them. And as they all boarded the new ship that Neldor Martin gave them, the Dawn Seeker, is that what it's called? The Dawn Seeker?
Yes, and every time I think of Dawn Seeker, I think of Dawn Breaker, and I think, a new hand touches the beacon. Listen!
Dude, that's the one where you get shot up in the sky, right?
Oh, gosh.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
as our party hopped aboard the Dawnseeker, their new keelboat, and they pulled and rowed themselves down the river and away from Martin's Rest, we had a little glimpse of something happening behind the scenes. The teacher at the orphanage in the temple complex of Helm decided to find out why it was so quiet lately. She hadn't seen any of the few paladins that were left behind to protect the cathedral. The majority of the paladins still out in the field with their captain, Sir Fargus Steelshod, and as she investigated the cathedral, she went down into the basement sanctum, where she found
That's how they spell it in Helm.
I know, I was really tempted to name episode 40 Cement Sanct.
You should have. That would have been good.
Oh man, that would have been great.
You know what? I still could because it's not published yet.
I'm never going to live that one down. The teacher went down into the basement sanctum and discovered the dead bodies of multiple paladins of Helm. Later, as they were investigating the basement sanctum, they found all of these reliquaries and treasure vaults that were untouched except for one, which stood open and empty. And that is where we join our party now as they paddle and pull their way down the river towards Whitaker Bend. We have Ornan, Sylvie, Mogram, and Guy, along with their allies, Prelate Annelise, and the druid Danon is back with them. We also have numerous horses.
Is she riding a dolphin?
No, she's on the ship.
One of those pink river dolphins.
Oh, yeah.
She is aboard the ship along with, we have Pranciful is there. We have Annalise's beautiful, dark, black stallion with the little white diamond on its nose. We have Duchess. We have Cinnamon. We have Stormhoof, the Thunder Mare. And then inside the cabin, we have a couple of riding dogs. A couple of riding dogs are snuggled up on one of the beds, Sadie and Bloodsnoot. All right. As you guys are paddling down the river, it's in the right around noon at this point. You guys have been moving along for part of the day. Guy, as you're maneuvering this ship, this is not too different from the ship you had before, which was Dynasty. Is that what it's called?
Yes, I think that was only ever revealed in a Neighbor's Potatoes, but Guy's old ship was called Dynasty.
Yes,
that's amazing.
So
10 out of 10.
Dynasty. It is very similar to Dynasty, your previous ship. As you are maneuvering the ship, you're heading downstream, downriver. The current is not very fast, but it's enough that you don't really have to do much work besides just making sure you stay clear of rocks along the shore. Look for little shallow areas that you need to maneuver around. So you are constantly moving and constantly watching, but you're not having to exert a ton of effort. It's not like you're paddling upstream or something like that. What is everybody else doing as Guy is maneuvering this ship?
Sylvia is showing everybody how she can dip her head in the water and not breathe, and being really proud of herself. And then using her fishing rod to lure some fish in to hang out with her. She's having a great time.
Oh my gosh. I imagine at one point you probably like tie off and you just like get dumped in the river and are floating along.
It's like snorkeling.
But it is cold. So here's something. I'm gonna be a butt about some certain things.
Wait, really quick, Sylvia, make sure that you tie off from the back of the boat. Otherwise, we'll keel haul you. That's how pirates used to kill each other.
Oh my gosh. Well, okay. As
don't kill us. You see what I did there?
Yes, you should take a bow.
Oh my god.
That is why
you guys, I'm trying to get going,
one.
so I'm going to give you one more stern warning.
I was going to say, let's pay attention to Paul. He's looking a little stern.
Yes. Let me take a drink of my port. Something starboard. Anyway.
Wait, hey guys, just a second. I'll be back. I got a poop deck.
Oh my god.
Okay. Okay, as you, I want to talk a little bit about water breathing, and I want to talk about the logistics of water breathing. Last time in our first campaign, we did have a situation where some of the characters went underwater, and we just treated it kind of like Blitzball in Final Fantasy X, right? Where I'm not gonna lie, that's basically what happened.
Waka's hair looked awesome as ever underwater.
Yes. In this campaign, you can breathe underwater, but you must remember that water is cold. It also is dark, and we're not gonna worry about things like nitrogen sickness and the bends, nothing like that. But if you go deeper underwater, the colder it gets, and if you're not dressed and prepared for it, you will start to suffer effects of like fatigue or of cold. Something else to be aware of, spell books and things, you probably don't want to take them underwater with you if you can help it. Opening up bags and things underwater, they will get flooded, including bags of holding. So just be aware of being underwater is not just, oh, okay, now let's go play a sport in this giant ball for everyone to watch. No, it's going to be it's still going to take a lot of planning, a lot of care, and it's incredibly dangerous. So I just wanted to bring
and it's going
to
completely nerf two of us.
just wanted to bring that up. So anyway, yeah. So Sylvie is chatting with some fish. You get these like silvery like trout come swimming up to you. They got pink bellies. Some of them do, and you're just having a great time with this new spell. By the way, you can cast that on multiple people. So does everyone currently have water breathing?
Anybody who wants to join on in the snorkeling. I'm letting the fish eat the dead skin off my toesies and my face and stuff. It's a really relaxing.
Can anyone else understand her? All I see are bubbles popping up out of the water.
All right. What's everybody else doing?
Sylvie, we're not going fast enough for water skiing.
Oh yeah, one casting of water breathing at 3rd level, as a ritual even, you can get 10 people to breathe underwater.
So that's pretty much 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's everybody except for probably Thundermare and Franzival.
No, screw that horse. He doesn't
that way
need
nobody
it.
drowns then, yeah. I'll just say I did that for everybody then. That way nobody
Let's see how good of a swimmer you are, champ.
They could just freeze to death.
Franzival doesn't need to breathe, so that's, amazing.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny.
He just tries too hard, guys. That's all. It's not that I'm like mean. He just, ugh.
Oh gosh. All right. Well, so what's Ornan doing?
Ornan is sitting on the bow, and he's scratching his back with this excellent new back scratcher that they found. It's this broken stick that they got from that pack. It just gets into those places that you can't reach real well in between your shoulder blades. So he's sitting on the bow,
oh my gosh,
watching the water pass and scratching his back.
Hey, Ornan, I was thinking you could use that new fancy back scratching stick. You could tie the banner to it, and that's how you could hoist the banner, or whoever ends up using it.
That's a great idea, but we'd want to tie it on this end because this back scratching bit just feels so good. When you get a sec, Guy, I'll scratch your back for a minute.
Okay.
Can I have dibs on after that?
Sure.
Oh my gosh. All right. And Magram, what are you doing?
Malgrim's kind of like mixing kind of his kind of chemical reagents. He's reading some of his notebooks that he has, scribbling things in it, kind of doing some general research and trying to replenish some of his stock of goods that he's used up.
Okay. Very cool. I imagine as you guys are doing this, as you guys are kind of sailing down and you're each kind of working on your own things, at some point, probably Annelise is just kind of watching the shore roll by. You see that Danon kind of looks around, and then she jumps off the side of the ship, and before you know it, a crocodile rises up out of the water and starts swimming along next to you for a while. And you're pretty sure that's Danon, because it's got, crocodiles have short legs. It's got even shorter legs because she's a dwarf.
Aww. It's almost like a snake than it is a crocodile.
So instead of having legs down, it's like they stick straight out to this side.
Just snake with these little vestigial legs coming up the side.
Little T-Rex gator.
Oh gosh. Yeah. Anyway, so all right. As you guys are sailing down, that is one thing that you guys can do throughout the rest of this day as you're trying to get to Whitaker Bend and try to avoid getting there at night to avoid the rocks and stuff. I think that you know that you're going to be camping one night on the river before you get to Whitaker Bend. But you guys had a ton of magic items that nobody has said whether they want to attune to them or not. I just kind of want to get an idea of where the magic items ended up, and also like Sylvie and Guy, where you guys are at with spells in your spell book.
Oh, yeah.
As far as spells in my spell book, I think I have everything that I'm going to end up copying over, just money-wise. I probably don't need to copy over the water breathing. I will take... it was suggested that I take the banner, so I'll hoist that banner. That's fine.
Okay, so you're going to
nobody else wants it. Yes.
Okay.
Send me the description of my curse.
No, I will get you a description of the item. As far as when you do spend some time with it and you're kind of examining the banner, I imagine you have to spend time with it, like a short rest or whatever. So you take a nap and you cover up with it as a blanket or something. When you look at it, when you finish attuning to it, what in Guy's eye should a war banner look like? What should the design on it be?
I think that for Guy, a war banner would be like 2 crossed swords, like with a shield, like 2 crossed swords behind a shield, and then like a spear coming up through the middle, and then like a circle of blood all around it. Just a little bit too much.
Okay. Like, and what colors are we talking about?
Gaudy, like ruby colored blood.
Yeah, exactly. So it's the flag itself is like a royal blue, and then everything on it is gold, shimmery gold thread, except for the circle of blood, which is like scarlet.
Yeah, so as you spend time with this banner, it goes from looking old and faded and beat up to it literally changes what it looks like. And this is now the banner of bravery attuned to Guy.
Hey, everybody, I think I found I figured out a crest for Wilhelm and Associates.
Ooh.
Wow,
that's nice.
So cool, Guy. Did you make
Is that blood on that? All right, that's cool.
It really stands out.
Microsoft Paint?
Microsoft Paint.
Sylvie, the way you were talking, it makes it sound like you don't really think it's that cool, and you think that I'm like a 4-year-old who just colored a picture.
No, that is a tool that takes mini wizards years to learn. It's quite impressive, honestly.
Yes. And the spots where you colored out of the lines, they look fine.
Okay, so I can't tell if you're making fun of Guy or if you're making fun of Paul.
I love Microsoft Paint.
So, dear listeners, Paul's the one who uses Microsoft Paint. Matt is well versed in the entire Adobe suite.
Okay. All right. Very good. So then, where does the mask of the pendant, the pendant of mask, where does that end up?
I'm pretty sure Jordan had that.
Did I have the pendant?
You picked that up as well as the Luckstone.
Oh, yeah, maybe I did.
You definitely did, because I was editing the episode and I heard it.
Okay. Yes, I totally.
All right. Very good. Okay. So then you are now attuned to both of those items then. The Luckstone is an amazing item. The Luckstone gives you like a +1 to basically everything.
Yeah, it's all your saves and all of your skills +1.
It would add to any of your skill checks, as well as any just basic check, like give me a dex check, give me a wisdom check, but it'll also add to your initiative, because that is a dex check.
Yes.
Oh, that's cool.
Will it also add to your dying roll checks?
It is a saving throw.
Yeah. So yeah, you do. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
So +1 to all that. So very good. Very cool. Okay. And then so you also have the mask pendant. Well, very good. Okay. So then there's also the greatsword, the Elvish greatsword, which that ended up also with Mogram.
Unattuned, of course.
Yes. And then there is
and I was
some
planning
gold.
on selling that one or using that one for a trade later.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I think that's totally fair.
Yeah, we have a few things to sell. I think we were going to sell the stinky cloak too.
Yes, that's right. The Hellhound cloak. Okay. I think that might be it. There was also the scroll of Glyph of Warding, which I'm pretty sure Sylvie would have that, whether she puts it in her spell book or not. She's got that one.
I was also interested in the spell book. I was looking at like magic missile and counter spell. I wouldn't mind learning those ones. I don't know what that requires.
Yeah, so it's just 50 gold per spell level, I think, is what it is, and then 2 hours per spell level. So counterspell is going to be 150 gold, and it's going to be 6 hours to do. Magic missile would be 50 gold and 1 hour. 2 hours.
2, yeah. Gotcha. Cool.
All right, very good. You are all sailing along, paddling down the river. Anything anybody wants to do during this trip, at least on this first day of travel?
Hey, Sylvie, while you're back there behind the boat, can you do me a favor and scratch that name Dawnseeker off the back? It's awful. Everyone, we have to come up with a new name. I kind of am partial to the Brown Streaker, but...
I don't know if that's exactly what we want.
My last boat's name was Dynasty, so we could just call it Dynasty 2.
Too nasty?
Yes. Ooh, too nasty. All right.
Jeez. That sounds like a character from the Attitude Era WWF.
Yes, too
Or a
hot.
Fast and the Furious movie.
Scotty too hotty. There's Scotty too hotty and there's Brian too sexy, right? Wasn't
The
there Brian
Grandmaster
something?
Sexay.
Grandmaster Sexay, that's what it was. Oh, gosh. Danon is still swimming alongside the ship as a crocodile. Annelise kind of speaks up and she says, "What about Aona's light?"
Yeah, we'll consider that one.
Yeah.
We'll put it on the list.
She's like, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
I'd hate for the boat to burn down.
Can I make an insight check? Was she really kidding? Did we just hurt her feelings?
Oh.
She's like, it's fine, guys.
Go ahead. Yeah, go
Stupid
ahead.
name.
It's a 6.
Yeah, it was a great joke. It was a great joke. It got the reaction that she was hoping for. Everybody, got a little bit of like uncomfortable, and she seems pleased with herself with your 6 insight. All right.
She's like Shirley from Community.
What about Jesus? Yes.
Jesus.
The episode where Abed turns into Jesus. That was so great.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh.
All right. Okay. Well, very good. So, any other name ideas getting thrown out? I think I had an idea that is on the list of ideas. My idea was Lady Hawk.
I don't know why that's so funny, but it's so bad.
It's not funny either, but I love it.
Like 10-year-old Jordan would have been like, that's so badass. Oh, yeah. Lady Hawk.
It was such a good movie, too. Yeah.
Honestly, if I was going to name it after anybody, Michelle Pfeiffer's a great choice.
This is a fair point.
Call it the Pfeiffer.
The Pfeiffer.
Rowdy? How about Rowdy Roddy Pfeiffer?
We're not gonna get anything done today. I love it so much. All right, you guys are all sailing down the ship sailing down the water, the river on this keelboat, and you are having this conversation about what to name the ship as you continue to navigate around rocks. You get little places where the river really picks up for a while, and then you get into places where the river is completely calm, and you do finally have to get like the oars out and start paddling along. You try to get the
first time we have
sail
to
out
do
a couple
that,
times.
though, the first time we have to do that, I would have to put the sail out, and I would use the fan to do gust of wind for 10 minutes or for a minute.
That's a really good idea. Yeah. Okay, very good. Yeah, you managed to get past like a portion of the river that was just dead as can be before you have to start actually rowing too much. But yeah, this whole first day on the river is actually pretty relaxing. The rain has led up to the point where it's just a kind of a constant drizzle as opposed to these huge raindrops. There's no more thunder and lightning. Every once in a while, the sky does clear a little bit, and you can see a blue sky up above you as you are sailing down towards Whitaker Bend.
I've got a boat name. D's Knots.
Oh.
I've been looking at these knots you've been tying, Guy, and they're pretty swell.
Oh. This is clever. I like this.
Oh my
It's
gosh.
also we also use knots to measure how fast we're going on a boat. So it's like it works in so many ways.
Margram's over there holding the rope. He's like, these knots are pretty big in my hand. They feel kind of rough, too.
They're very impressive.
Man, look how rough
Impressive
these knots are.
I think this rope has been used on an ocean-going vessel as well. If you lick it, it's kind of salty. These knots are salty.
Look
Wow.
at these salty knots.
Oh, hey guys, hey, be careful with these knots. Be careful with these knots. They're. Oh gosh. Anyway.
You're being a little bit rough with these knots, okay?
All right, this is all fun and games, you scurvy sea dogs, but we have to pay attention, okay?
And just like
just
that,
because we're
Guy's
not at
old,
Whitaker-
his old lingo comes out just naturally.
Salty sea.
I thought you were going to say, just like that, Guy's holding his nuts.
All right.
All right, swab the deck, ye lubbers.
You continue this, I'd say, lighthearted and relaxing trip down the river. After everything that's been going on for the last, little while, traveling by ship is relatively calm and relaxing. In fact, almost boring at times. But Sylvie, you're able to get a lot done. I'd say you get easily 8 hours worth of work before it gets to be too late to do anything else, before you get too fatigued. So you could get a couple of spells done at that point.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, so moving along, the sun starts to set, and Guy, you know that you have a couple of options here. You can anchor up in the river for the night, or you can there is a lantern on the front of the ship that gives you about 20 feet out in front of you of bright light and then 20 feet extra of dim. You have sailed at night down rivers before. You know that it can be very, very sketchy, especially in parts of a river that you don't personally know very well. So you could could continue to go, but you would you'd have to be awake and alert to do it. Or you can pull over to the shore and you can try to rest on shore. Whatever it is you guys would like to do, let me know.
I've got about 180 feet of dark vision, so if we want to keep going, I could be your eyes, Guy.
That would be... I've done it before, and honestly, I'm not tired. FYI, my background lets me do a basically forced march equivalent of exertion for 16 hours before I get exhausted. I think I mentioned that at the end of last episode.
Is that because you're so good at handling vehicles, parentheses, water?
Yes, actually, it comes from my background, which is a reflavored version of Marine.
Ooh.
Bet you didn't think Guy was a Marine.
Not at
No,
all.
I thought he was a pirate.
I think we could do that, but honestly, we have the horses. We need to give them some space, let them graze a little bit. So, just thinking of Duchess's feelings, I think we should pull off the river for the night.
Right, you start looking for a place to...
I can be outvoted.
No, it's fine.
I'm assuming we have some grain on board, so they're not starving, but I also don't mind pulling off if we think that's a better place to be.
But look at them, they're so restless. Even Blood Snoot and Sadie look like they need to get a little run out.
Blood Snoot is literally just snoozing, on her back, just feet in the air, tongue lolling.
The problem is, if we don't get some energy out of those dogs, they're going to start chewing on things.
Oh, that's
Oh,
the worst.
Not the wooden boat. Oh no.
Ornan takes a rope out of his mouth.
Annelise puts her hand on your shoulder, Guy, and she says, I trust you, Captain.
Captain, I like that.
Oh, Captain, my Captain.
Ooh.
She says you have the most experience on the river, so I say whatever you say, we should follow your advice.
If we didn't have the beasts, I would say we could just anchor in the middle of the river. But let's go ahead and pull off to the shore.
And
I need to
Guy
stop
is
saying
good
pull
at
off.
sailing.
I don't know why. Every time you say it, I keep hearing Korg in my head saying, "Oh my gosh." It pulled you off.
My name's Korg. I'm made of rock.
All right, you so Guy, you start looking as you're sailing down, as you're maneuvering down the river, and with your background, I don't think you even need to make a check. You just can find a safe harbor, and you manage to find one after about 15 minutes of looking. The sun is still not quite down, which gives you plenty of time to like tie off, get a camp ready to go. Unless you guys are going to still sleep on the ship, there are 2 beds in the cabin. But yeah, you find a place. You kind of paddle over to the shore. You pull it up. You start to I imagine you kind of beach the front end of this boat, tie it off a bit to some trees along the bank, and you guys are now making camp along the bank of this river. Real quick though, Guy, are you on the west side of the river or are you on the east side of the river?
I'll roll it 50-50, wherever we saw first. So let me roll a die.
Okay.
Odds is west, evens is east.
West.
We go on the west side of the river.
Okay, fantastic. You go on the west side of the river, which at this point is the less the road is on the east side of the river. Every once in a while, as you were maneuvering down the river, you could see the road that you guys would have been traveling along, because it pretty much mirrors the river for the most part. It does get hidden by trees and goes around hills and things like that, where the road and the river don't quite sync up. But you know that if there are going to be travelers that might come upon you, you're much more likely to run into them on the east side of the river than you are on the west side of the river. Oh yeah, you guys start to make camp. As dinner is prepared, tents are set up for some of you. I imagine, well, actually, who gets the cabin? There are 2 beds in the cabin. Who gets those? Danon is instantly on dry ground and is like gathering up like some fir boughs and stuff, and she's making her own little emergency shelter, like you see on TikTok when those guys are making their shelter.
Oh my
Am I the only one on that side of TikTok? So he's taking bushcrafting shelters.
Oh, I was going to say, so he takes that weird machete thing and starts digging out the clay and makes a pool.
Yeah, by the time we have set up camp, she has a whole suite built.
She has made like some clay bricks and she's in the process of firing them to make a fireplace. Yeah, exactly. No, yeah. So she's going to stay on shore as well. The horses have all been let off the ship too.
Guy will stay on the boat, but he'll sleep on the deck.
Okay.
I feel like I'd offer Annelise the cabin.
Yeah, I'd probably go on shore.
Ornan would too. Ornan would start making dinner for everybody.
Well, I guess I get the bed.
So I guess Annelise and Guy are going to share the cabin.
Unless, wait, Sylvie, what was Sylvie doing?
She offered it to Annelise.
Okay. There's 2 beds.
I don't mind taking it if you don't want it, but Guy, if you want a bed, you go for it, bud.
No, it's okay. I'll sleep under the stars.
If
well,
they're
no,
out
it's raining. Ooh, never mind.
It is
I'll
drizzling.
take the bed.
I love that. Yes.
Guy, the person who can make a tiny hut, is like, I'll just sleep inside. Okay, you guys share a meal. It's not as miserable as it was, so it almost feels like relaxing and fun to be here together at this campfire after all of the excitement of the bandits and before that of Redlum. And you guys...
And the tension of killing people and kind of fighting about it.
You guys end up just having an enjoyable evening together. Unless anybody wants to have a conversation, we are going to start doing watches.
We can probably jump into watches.
Fantastic. All right. We are going to... We're not going to take the time to roll. We just... each of you will end up taking, like a 2-hour watch as you take turns. Some of you are doubled up with either Danon or Annelise. And at some point, right around, maybe like 4 a.m, you figure dawn is still maybe 3 hours off. Whoever is on watch feels their eyes start to close. They start to drift a little bit. They're not actually sleeping. They're just kind of drifting.
We'll say it was Guy.
I've never drifted in my life.
I think I know what's happening.
The only
when
drifting
I'm
I
going
do is
too
Tokyo
fast
drift.
and too furious. Oh, you monster! You beat me to it.
I'm so glad we were thinking the same thing.
Oh my gosh. Well, Ornan, as you recognize that you were asleep, you blink your eyes because that's all you can do. Your eyes blink as you think about the control you have over this body. You can blink your eyes. You can move them left to right and up and down. And you stand here in this cold, dark room, waiting for your brother. A door opens. A small figure peeks in. You can see dark beak. You can see glossy black feathers cresting the head of your brother, Bubbles, as he calls out and says,
Jingles, what are you doing in here? Come on now. We have things to do.
and with that command, you feel your body move as it seeks to obey the creator of this body. And not for the first time, Jingles, you ponder, does Bubbles realize that you have no control without him first giving a command? Or when he talks, you are unsure if Bubbles is ignorant to your plight, being trapped in this body, unable to do anything without his command, or has he actually deluded himself into thinking that you, Jingles, are any kind of capable for independent action? As you follow Bubbles out of the room and into this vast stone chamber with altars and etchings and markings on the floor and on the walls and over the doors, the vision fades.
Oh, man.
Oh, that's spooky.
Yeah, I like it.
That's really sad.
It is really sad.
Sylvie, you have had a great day of swimming with fish. You've been using your fishing rod. I don't know if anybody realizes just how powerful it is, but anytime you're like, oh, there's a fish over there, I want that fish to come closer, it would swim over to you, and you go to sleep just thinking about what a great time you had in the water. Just amazing. And as this dream of being in the river, you kind of, in your dream, you can see yourself like jumping into the water again and swimming. And as you come up out of the water,
I'm going to be a marine biologist.
as you come up out of the water, you kind of keep replaying these different images of just the fun that you had in the river. And one time when you come up out of the water's different. It's not this clear river flowing down, surrounded by hills and trees and plains. No. This water is brackish and dirty, stinky, infested with cattails and tall grass. Not a tree in sight except for on the horizon. You can see that this bog, give me a second. I got to think of the right word, because there are different words for different types of places. I know that now. As this bog gives way to swampy forest, you recognize and know not Sylvie. Jib Jab, you recognize you are approaching the Blackwater Swamp. Your body is adept at moving through these different landscapes with a speed and an assurity that is supernatural. You have lived in wilderness for so long that it is as easy as walking down the street for you, avoiding the pitfalls, avoiding the swampy, deep bogs, and staying on the relatively dry ground. And as you approach this forested line on the horizon, you can feel that something unnatural awaits you at that tree line, something foreign and something oblique to the unnaturalness that is already plaguing you, Jib Jab. Not opposite, but just tangential or oblique, a different direction, a different type of unnaturalness altogether. As they approach the tree line, they can almost feel these two auras of unnaturalness touch. They can feel, because Jib Jab's not slowing down. They know they have to keep moving to avoid as much of the sorrow and heartbreak that follows them everywhere they go. And as they approach that tree line, they feel these two auras of unnaturalness push against each other and resist. And then, like a popped soap bubble, the auras give way to each other. And waves of unnaturalness reverberate off of each other in an asynchronous, turbulent mass of waves of unnaturalness going every which way. And Jib Jab, as you move into the Blackwater Swamp and into this new unnaturalness, you wonder what will happen when the unnatural aura surrounding you interacts with this unnatural aura that surrounds somebody else from your past.
Oh. Man.
When you... Yeah.
Cage match.
Jib Jab and Bubbles getting back together.
Guy, you're sitting on top of the cabin of this ship on your watch. And you're an elf. You don't sleep. You trance, and you've actually already tranced enough for the night. So you don't really realize that at some point your chin hits your chest. You instantly recognize that you're dreaming because it is so foreign to you. And also, in your dream, it seems like everything is so big around you, and you realize, oh, I'm shorter in my dream than I am in real life. And you have just that moment to have that thought before you take in your surroundings. It is nighttime where you are. The sky is clear. You are moving down. You can see that the city that you're in, the houses are kind of built up the hill, and you're moving down the road, and you instinctively know you're heading out of the borders of this land where you are, and you're heading down more into the heart of the nation of Via Severia. At least that's your plan as you head out of this city and on to your next show. James Hyuk Bartles, you move through the city, and as you look, you can see that there are people watching you leave. You can see them waving to you, and you see them cheering you on. There's 2 or 3 people over here waving, saying, James, we want you back. Please come back and share your gift with us again. And somebody else saying, oh, you might be a mimic if never change, James, that kind of thing. And as you're moving, you see other onlookers waving at you, their arms outstretched in farewell, but their hands not moving, their heads lolling to the side as the spike impaling them slowly works its way through their insides. And James can't help but think, another successful showing, on to the next town as he continues his travels.
Gross.
Dude, that's so metal.
We're getting to you, dude.
Magram, as you are sleeping, I think you're dreaming, and in your dream, there is this woman who keeps... She's haunted your dreams for the last little bit. She has RBF, and she is hands on hips, not even giving you the time of day, and Magram, you go crazy for it. As you,
she has the world's biggest feet that she's just gonna put right on your neck.
Oh gosh! As you remember Lillian Harston, the woman with the rapier at her waist, the associate of the silent voice back in Redlam. You've dreamt about her often, but as your dreams, I mean, I don't know if you ever are, quote, successful in your dreams, but this night you're definitely not successful. In fact, this night, she moves away from you in this dream. She moves away from you as you find yourself back in your room, and you cover up and go to bed. As your head hits the pillow, your eyes burst open as you wake from the dream. You wake up with a start because you've had that same dream again. You turn. Your hair, long hair, once red, now silver with age, hangs down around your face as you retch into a bucket beside the bed. Your hands are shaking as Spritz, wide eyes and breath coming out as a whimper with every exhalation. Magram, you are sitting here in Spritz's body as you see a small hand, calloused with work and yet still childlike in size, reaches for a bottle and brings it to his mouth to try to drink away the memory of this terrible, terrible nightmare. Magram, before Spritz drowns out this memory, make a perception check.
Oh, okay. I got a nat 1 for a 6.
Wait, but you have advantage.
Oh. Why does he have advantage?
I guess I do.
Magram has advantage for his shield.
And I would have been on watch.
Oh, well, okay.
I guess it depends on when this happens.
So with advantage, what did you get?
With advantage, I would have gotten a 14.
Okay. A 14 will give you a glimpse. You see this bottle tip back in front of your eyes as you are in Spritz's mind, and you feel the alcohol hit the throat. You feel the desire to just drown away this memory, but you do catch glimpses of what was seen. Spritz is back in the crypt beneath Oak Road. The memory is spotty. It is something that you have not yet seen, Magram. This is not a recap of a previous vision. No, you are witnessing something that happened after. You are standing there. Your friends are behind you. James is on the ground on his back, unconscious but breathing. Bubbles is huddled in a corner watching, but you see with eyes of interest, not of fear. You can see that Jib Jab is leaning over the unconscious body of Badger, tending to the wounds. You can see others down here. You see Peter is here. Peter has taken a wound of some kind. He's grabbing his shoulder. He is He is scrambling backwards on his butt to try to get away from whatever is here in this chamber. You can see that Norton, this brass dragonborn, has a sword drawn. He is bleeding from wounds on his face as he backs up along with Peter. He's calling out something that you can't hear in this memory. All you hear is the rushing of blood pounding in your ears. As you look over, you see the figure of Ensley Ironbrow, this brown-skinned, dark-haired, dwarven woman, priest of Lathander, as she is holding up a holy symbol and calling out something to Lathander in a tongue that you do not understand. And you look over and you see the girl. You see the girl, Loida. You see the tears. You can see that she has, at this point, she is standing in front of the crypt. The crypt is open. You can see the two armored figures still standing on either side. But your brain will not let you remember the figure standing between them. All your brain recognizes is dark and wavy and almost like staticky glitch. But that's not what takes all of your attention. With your 14 perception, Magram, as you look at Loida, you see surrounding her this aura, this dark, sort of translucent but dark, almost like shadowy aura around her. And as you squint at it, you recognize that it's not just an aura, it's a figure. It's some sort of being. And with your 14 perception, you have enough time to recognize long flowing hair and a dress, the figure that had possessed the young girl Loida, the figure that was forcing her body to do the things that it did to free whatever is down here beneath Oak Road. That body, or that the being that possessed her was a woman, an attractive, powerful, and incredibly morose woman. And then the alcohol takes over. Spritz begins to cry, Magram, you cannot be here in this vision anymore. And you wake up, and you all wake up at the same time. You are all still here in the camp on the west side of the river. Some of you on the ship, some of you in tents on the shore. And that's what happens.
Huh.
All right, dream team. Oh, wait, Annelise. Doesn't she also?
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Yeah, well, we have to ask her about it. Guy will grab an oar on the boat and he'll hammer the butt against the deck to make a loud banging sound to get everybody's attention.
Everybody is awake at this moment, except for Danon. The horses all snort and rear. Some of them start to nicker and pull back against their ropes that they're tied off with. Because you startled
Magram's
them.
over there prodding one in the side
with a dagger.
Stupid horse.
He's got a vial. He's got a vial in front of his mouth. Like, no, just drink it. Just drink it.
It's good for you. Just do it.
Annelise comes out of the cabin and she looks around. Guy, she makes eye contact with you. Sylvie, you're in the cabin too. So Annelise wakes up. She looks over at you, Sylvie, and she doesn't say a word.
No, Guy was in the cabin. He wanted that cabin.
Oh, that's right.
It was raining. I wasn't going to sleep on the deck.
He wanted that cabin. I'm in a tent in the mud.
So right. Sylvie's out in this camp. Guy was on watch, so he is actually out on the deck of the ship right now. So Annelise comes out. She makes eye contact with you, Guy. She doesn't say much, but she just kind of nods. And you are starting to try to get everybody back onto the ship or wake everybody up so you can have a conversation.
Well, dream team, I think we've been assembled again.
That was disturbing and dark. I definitely think that what I am dreaming is of right now. Spritz, which is the fairy character, the fairy person that I seem to be associated with. He's much older, but he has been so haunted by these dreams. He keeps dreaming of that night in the bottom of that temple.
Well, Jib Jab is definitely due east of here. They're doing their best to try to outrun the chaos that follows them, but it's not successful.
James is somewhere heading toward the middle of civilization, which is alarming. I think he's making people love him.
Oh, well, I mean, it could be.
No, not in a cute way, not like chocolates and overtures of devotion and thing. He's forcing them through magical means to love him. And even those who, I don't know if they resisted or what, but he's very brutally forcing some to cheer him on.
Oh, goodness.
I was in the head of that Kenku's little brother again, and I think I learned a little bit about the plight of the undead, especially when it comes to necromancy, and it's a bit unsettling to say the least. That being said, they're in some sort of a fortress or some secure location built out of stone. I think we need to get there quickly.
All right.
Annelise, would you care to share with the class?
She says, yes. Again, I dreamt of Peter. He was at a ship. He was moving down beneath the deck to a hold that was a secret hold, a small, low hold where the people being kept inside could not even sit up comfortably. They were bound hand and foot. And he was, you can see that she's having a hard time choking up thinking of this. He was inspecting them, and he was making decisions about which ones he would purchase, which ones he would give as gifts. And there was one who was bound with extra manacles with a metal band around their face with some sort of a block in their mouth between their teeth to keep them from talking. And as he looked at that one, I got the impression he recognized power, but he also recognized danger. And he informed the ship's captain that one this time would not be fit for sail and should instead be given to the prelate of Aona to be dealt with. And then she goes quiet.
Not all ship's captains. Can I just say not all ship's captains?
Glad that's not our ship.
Any indication of where that took place?
It's either Grunfort or Fort Westland. I could not tell the difference. There's a river, and there is a warm sea, so it could be either one. However, and she starts thinking about it, I'm going to have her make, well, she doesn't need to make a religion check. She is Aeonin. She says, however, it makes me think the theocratic protectorate of Rovia, which is, as you guys would know, that's the barony that's controlled by the church.
Yeah.
That is basically directly south of where you're at. You go through Siren Barony, and then you keep following this river, and that river will take you to Grunfort.
So you think it's on the river? Could I use my knowledge of ships?
Mhm.
Or, sorry, what's it called? Transportation,
Vehicles, parentheses, water.
Vehicles, parentheses, water. Can I use an intelligence check to say the way that she described the ship, would that work on the river at that point, or would the river be too shallow or too narrow or something like that?
What she says is that the river empties into the bay. Sorry, and you would know that Grunfort and Fort Westland both are built on bays where the rivers empty out into the sea. You know that Fort Westland is further west. It's going to be a little bit further south as well, just the way that the Mariseth Sea, where the coastline works. You would also know that Rovia tends to have more of a Mediterranean feel, sort of more like...
good vibes and good food.
Yeah, just like, imagine sailing around the Greek Isles, that type of thing. Whereas I think Fort Westland, like the Tosca barony, has more of like it just feels a little bit more deserty almost there along the coast, like a little drier, a little bit less vacation-ish.
So thinking like, if we're thinking Mediterranean for both, one of them would be the European side of the Mediterranean, the other would be the North African side of the Mediterranean.
Yeah, something more like that. Yeah. So anyway, but she says, I'm thinking Grunfort, just because mentioning a prelate makes me think of Rovia. It makes me think of the Theocratic Protectorate.
So can I ask a question about James's vision? Or
yes.
Guy's vision of James?
Yes.
So James heading out of the city, heading toward, you said, kind of the more populated areas of Via Severia, right? The center of Via Severia.
Yes.
Would that be the capital? Or since it's so locked down, would it be maybe one of the other larger cities, probably further south along a port or something? Do I get a sense of where the major population center would be? Washington, D.C. is our capital, but New York City is way bigger.
Right. So as far as that where you're at, where he has been is a city. It's not a town. But you also get the impression that this city is the edge of civilization. You did not get any indication of ocean or coastline at all, and being as it was night, you didn't get like a view of like the sun to figure out heading east or heading west. You did get heading downhill, like heading out of hills or mountains and heading downhill, and you also got the impression of taking his show on the road.
Okay, all right.
Any other questions about any of the visions that you guys had?
I have a question about somebody else's vision. Go ahead, Jordan. You might be asking what my question was going to be.
Oh, I was just going to say the apparition thing that possessed Loida, did that appear familiar at all?
I see what you're asking. And the answer is no. The apparitions that you have been experiencing with Guy, this spooky woman, almost has a little bit of like a glow, or like a almost like I imagine like a sparkle or a wisp of white smoke type of thing. Like there is this little bit of light that comes from this figure.
She's also not nearly as hot and powerful as this other woman.
This other figure,
morose.
You could feel the power radiating off of this dark, shadowy figure. So even just the lighting is different. And you have seen the figure that follows Guy. You have seen that figure in dungeons and in caves, and there's still always that just slight glow that lets you know that they're there. This figure, if there was not light around, would have totally disappeared. It was basically a shadow.
Okay.
I've got a question.
Yes.
So as Jingles was following Bubbles into the other room that was more well lit, did I get an impression of like what he was working on, what he was doing down there? Any details about what Bubbles is doing in those rooms?
Sure. Why don't you make a perception check? And then also I'm going to have, just make a perception check. And then, Sylvie, you make a perception or an insight check as well.
I only got an 11.
You only got an 11. Ornan, you have been around, like, You've stumbled onto a necromancer in the basement beneath Grimley Castle. You've seen some dark things. This just seems like more of the same. right? So it doesn't seem good. It doesn't seem like let's I don't know. This wasn't somebody studying geography or something like that. This was definitely dark of some kind.
No birthday cakes, no party, favors.
No birthday cakes. All right. Sylvie, what'd you get?
Sylvie rolled a 3. I don't see anything wrong with this lady. She's hot. She's powerful. She knows what she wants.
Well, no, we're talking about what happened with Jib Jab.
I know, but I was just thinking about her still.
Well, I would just say that something that Sylvie did not mention to the group, but you guys all heard it anyway, is this idea of 2 different unnatural auras reacting to each other. And one thing I will tell you, even with a 3 perception, Sylvie, you get the impression of this could be very dangerous, but also these 2 auras interacting and like creating this turbulence of energy is also unpredictable. Like this is an unknown. This is an unknown.
To Jib Jab or to...
Jib Jab, I would say that you got the impression Jib Jab, as they moved and these auras collided, Jib Jab felt a little bit of trepidation at the unknown of what will happen when these 2 auras collide with each other.
Nothing good, I can tell you that.
So,
and we're heading right into it.
Well, currently not right now.
Yeah, we're going a little bit south.
We're heading totally away from it, but eventually we'll be turning and we'll head right toward it.
They've also been on the run. Jib Jab, they've been cruising as fast as they can across the countryside, so I imagine by the time we get there, they'll be someplace else.
Unless they're going specifically to confront Bubbles. And then who knows what we might be walking into.
Annelise says we could just keep heading south and go to Grunfort to confront Peter. He's either in Grunfort or he's in Fort Westland. Either way, we'd have to head south. And Grunfort is right along the path. Real quick, this is not me, Paul, trying to dissuade you.
Sure.
This is just Annelise bringing up another point.
I feel like if we can sit down and chat with Jib Jab, we might get the most answers to what we're looking for. That, and there's 2 of them in that direction.
I don't think Jib Jab is willing to stand still long enough for us to have a conversation with them.
They might be if we can help them and at least maybe get an idea of what's going on.
From a purely practical point of view, now would be the time to head east to meet with 2 of them, and then we can come back, follow the river, and just ease of travel would be a lot simpler than having to backtrack all the way upriver to
You're saying like cut across land?
Cladvina. No, I'm saying I'm not giving up this boat. I'm saying if we go down the river, then we head up to Cladvina. But if we went clear down to Fort Grundle or whatever it was called, we'd have to go clear back up that part of the river and then toward Cladvina.
You know that to get to Grunfort would be probably 2.5 weeks of travel on the river.
And it's such a long time.
Yeah, but think of the cheese plates that they have down there. I've heard such good things.
It's pretty nice. I mean, I didn't really go to Grunfort, but in Bergevin, the food was delicious. Spicy, but so good.
Also, Guy, having traveled through that Siren Valley, you know that the next stop after Whitaker Bend is the Stillwater Lake, which is where Mirloff is, right? You are getting closer and closer to Mirloff. If instead of heading east and going along the Pithrian River, which then branches, it becomes the Hydra River because it just becomes so many different streams and rivers that all branch into each other. If you instead head south and go through the Siren Valley, you would go past Fisher's Landing, which you have history there. You'd also get to go through what they call the Cascading Locks, which is this ancient system of dams and locks that actually ships can move down the river through this ancient mechanical system of locks, which is pretty slick. But then you would still get to another lake and then down another river all the way out to Grunfort. It would take you quite some time.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. I think we hit Pithrian Barony first, and then we can head further south. I know in the meantime people are suffering, but people are suffering all over, and who's to say what's going to happen when these two forces that Sylvie described collide?
It did not look good. That did not look great.
Well, are we settled then? On to Pythria?
I suppose so.
Ithria, I hardly know ya.
Oh.
Oh, that is clever. I like this.
Okay, everybody go finish getting your rest. We can talk more once the sun comes up, but the horses still need some time to sleep, and I'll keep the last watch.
All right. The rest of the night goes on without any issue. As the sun comes up, the clouds have actually cleared away. And it looks like instead of it being a miserable, kind of cold, wet day, it's going to be instead a very cold but dry day. One of those autumn days where the sun is out, and when you're out in the sun, it feels like almost like time to take your jacket off and wear just like short sleeves. And then as soon as you go in the shade or as soon as the sun goes down, it is frigid. It is one of those weird autumn days where you can't decide if it's warm or cold. But you all load back up into the ship, which, did we decide on a name yet? The Dawn Seeker is what we're still calling it until we have a different name.
Screw it. I'm going to go with Lady Hawk.
The Mom Seeker.
The Mom Seeker.
The Mom Seeker.
Oh, man.
I'm fine with Lady Hawk. I mean, that's one that I think I could say with a straight face throughout the rest of the podcast, or however long we have this boat before it inevitably gets burned or repossessed or just left behind, or given to a bunch of robots to use to save their kind.
We don't have time for that kind of nonsense.
Oh, gosh. All right. Well, you guys sail down the river on the Lady Hawk then. And the next,
as we're traveling, can I have a conversation with Ornan? Just a little private conversation with
that
Ornan.
sounds fine. Yeah. You guys can do whatever you want to until we get to Whitaker Bend.
So, Ornan, you shared some feelings about what you actually did. You share feelings about understanding the plight of the dead raised through necromancy?
I think I just said that, but I didn't like go into detail.
Okay.
You know?
Well, then never mind. I won't have the conversation with you.
But I mean, I would have said that, but not like described it like thoroughly, you know?
Have that conversation. I like that conversation.
So, Ornan, as you know, I mean, you've probably noticed, but there's this ghost lady that follows me around sometimes.
Yes, she's hard to miss.
Do you think that that's anything like what you saw with Bubbles?
I'm no expert on the afterlife or souls and where they go after we die, but when I'm in Jingle's head, it seems that he doesn't have control over himself, and it seems almost like a form of mental imprisonment, and it just doesn't sit right with me.
I think that sounds like absolute torture.
I don't know that's a fate I would wish on anyone, and I hope that Bubbles would know that, and if or when we see him, I plan on telling him about it.
Do you think I'm deluding myself into thinking that this maybe trapped spirit has any will of her own? I feel like she kind of does what she wants, but she also always seems to help me and do what I would like her to do as well.
She rightly makes me nervous, Guy, and I avert my eyes most of the time when she's around. The way she glitches.
So that's why you keep missing your attacks.
Oh, that was dirty. I love it.
Sorry.
It's all good. It's all good. The way she kind of disappears and reappears, and her features seem to glitch about. It's a bit unsettling for me, but if she's attached to that book of yours, then perhaps she has something to say to you. Now, I'm not going to tell you not to summon her, not to use her in battle. I've seen how effective she can be. But it might be something to consider.
Guy, make an insight check.
Okay.
Ornan, you can make one too.
I'm historically great at these. 14.
Ornan got a 16.
All right, Guy, I think that you really are concerned that you might be deluding yourself with your 14. Ornan, with your 16, just the way that you have heard Guy describe it, just what you've witnessed, it seems almost like the situation with Jingles versus the situation with this spectral woman, they are almost polar opposites, where Jingles has no control and no say, and this woman, it seems like she is using every ounce of strength she has to stick around as long as possible. So it's almost like the exact opposite.
Guy, I'll say this. I noticed her trying to pet your dog. And that strikes me as odd and gives the impression that perhaps she does have some autonomy when she's here.
If she's at all who I think she may be, then I think this used to be her dog.
Oh dear. Wait, is Pranciful a ghost too?
Pranciful's a magical construct. As far as I can tell, Pranciful many years ago was the Covington's family dog, and when he passed away, they created a spell to bring him back for the children.
So they hired a taxidermist and a wizard.
I mean, I think he's mainly just energy taken from the realm of fairies or something.
Ah, well, you're talking a language I don't rightly understand, but...
I don't either.
Wait, but you do this sort of thing all the time.
So I have a book in my hands that I can barely read at all. Like, I make out like words every once in a while, and when I understand what it's saying, what it means, there's this energy, there's this power, there's this puissance. Is that a word we say in English? Sorry.
No, you're speaking a different language again, but that's all right. I'm not great at reading either. It's nothing to be ashamed of. I've seen Sylvie reading quite a lot out of her book. Perhaps she could have a look at yours at some point.
We've kind of compared notes before. I don't think there's anything. It's mostly magical formulae and things that are just a bit foreign to both of us.
Ah, well, I do understand not knowing where your powers come from. I honestly know very little of Ethos. Or how I get the abilities that I have, but they seem to work.
And they seem to be helpful, right? I mean, if it's helpful, it can't be that bad, right?
If it's super helpful, then how can you be too bad?
Why are you so sad?
Oh.
It's something to think on. I used to think that it was black and white, that magic was for the benefit of people, but I think that was an unfounded stance, and I'm changing the way I look at it now. I think the bearer of the magic really is the one that influences whether it's used for good or evil, rather than the magic itself.
I think I would agree with you on that, at least as far as the extreme measures that the lamplighters will go to.
Well, was this back scratch nice while we were talking? I told you this stick was great.
It's wonderful. It's funny. Like, when I'm waiting for my turn in combat, I may just, scratch, my ass or my back or something with it.
Well, if you go down that low, make sure you wash it after you use it. I think we'll have to pass this back scratcher between the four of us.
Oh my gosh. You guys continue to float on down the river. Any other conversations you guys want to have happen before we get to Whitaker Bend?
Yeah, we'll all just float on. All right, already. We'll all float on.
Just thinking that.
I crashed my car into a cop car the other day.
He just laughed it off. It was all okay. Don't worry about
it. I crashed my car into a car the other day. Anyway, okay. Yeah, you guys continue to
Modest Mouse.
Same here.
Sorry.
It throws me back to such a specific time.
It reminds me of chiropractic school, honestly, because I'm that old. You guys are floating down the river, and as the sun starts to set, Whitaker Bend appears in your view. So I've moved you guys all over to the map of Whitaker Bend. You can see where it is. It's a place where the river, it widens out here, and you approach the city from the northwest as it takes this turn and then heads southwest. And Whitaker Bend is built kind of right along that curve of the river. It is a small town. You can see that it is surrounded by forest and trees. Anyone who's been through here before, you would know Whitaker Bend is not like Martin's Rest, where the river and the road are all in one place. Whitaker Bend is probably about a mile or two off of the road. So if you were traveling by foot, you actually sometimes would not even come to Whitaker Bend. You would just move right past it because it is off the beaten path. But when you are sailing down the river, it is a place that you want to stop. You see that basically Whitaker Bend is a beach with one large dock or pier that sticks out kind of into the river on this east side of the river. And then the town itself is basically one long dirt road with houses lined up on either side. You can see that there is a small hill towards the north part of town, and there is a small chapel there. And then you can see a little bit further east of that, there is kind of tucked back into the forest. You see a large complex. Anyone who's been through here before would know that that is a semi-famous brewery called the Sogson Sisters Brewery. It's a family of dwarves who brew some amazing ales and ciders here. Moving down further through the town, anyone who stayed the night here knows that there is really only one inn in town, and it is called the Lonely Bells Inn. It is at the very southern tip of this town, surrounded on the south by this forest that continues on as you move past the town. The Lonely Bells Inn is, at one point, it was a chapel. It was a chapel to some god, some deity long ago in the past, and it had fallen into disrepair and had been now turned into the town's inn/tavern. I'll just kind of describe it because some of you have already seen it. Basically, part of the inn or part of the chapel had fallen in, had broken down. The northeast section of the chapel had just kind of given way with age, and it has now since been replaced with rough cut logs. So it is this very interesting dichotomy of beautiful architecture, ancient kind of Gothic-looking cathedral-esque architecture combined with log cabin. It's not a very large building, but anyone who's stayed here knows that the first floor especially, they tried really hard to keep it looking like a chapel. And if you guys decide to stay there, I'll describe more of the inside as we get there. But that is basic.
The inn is great. It's like Abraham Lincoln's childhood home had a baby with Notre Dame.
Oh, that's so specific.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that is what Whitaker Bend has to offer. On the east side of the river, you can see a lot of large rocks sticking up out of the water. And Guy, you know that around those rocks, there are a lot of large rocks right below the surface. That at night, it is very difficult to tell where they are. At this point, you know that the rocks are also a little bit further south of the city, which is why people will stop here before they venture on further south. So at this point, it would be a good time to tie off for the night, either at the dock or pull over to the side and just kind of anchor up in the river, whatever you decide to do. But this is probably the safest place to stop for the night. Also, one last thing. You can see over at the rocks, you do see the remnants of a very recent shipwreck. You can see that there are these rowboats and rowboats, paddle boats that are out there. People are picking over them. You can also see that fishermen are over there by the rocks in their little rowboats as they are like catching some of the fish that like to hang out in rocks, along the rocky shores. But they are starting to pack up and go in for the night as the sun is beginning to set.
Whitaker Bend's an interesting place because it's like an entire community that built up around a rest stop, right? It's like people stop here.
Nebraska.
Yes, Nebraska. It's Nebraska.
Okay.
Ogallala, Nebraska. I have broken down twice in Ogallala, Nebraska, and had to stay the night. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Not broken down. One time there was a snowstorm. The other time I just got really tired. But anyway,
I'd love to stop by the Brewers.
yeah, it's one of those weird places that like there's these little cottage industries that pop up, even though it's really just a place for people to stop so they don't crash their boats, and then other industry here is just picking over the crashed boats. So yeah,
Yes.
let's head on in.
Yeah, literally you see as you approach the town, you can literally see people like standing on this slanted like 45-degree deck of this ship that's sticking up out of the water. You can still see like the flag and some of the pennants that are hanging from the lines and stuff that are all green and white for the barony of Alaron. You guys pull up to the dock.
Was that corn in the water? Sorry. From the thing you said somebody threw up during the
Oh yeah, that's right. That was a while ago. Good. That's what we call in the biz a callback or a throwback. A callback. A throwback?
A callback.
I mean, I know somebody throws back.
It's a callback. So let's go throw back some of these dwarven ladies' beer.
Oh gosh.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, I'm part of a Brewers Association, and perhaps I can pay my monthly dues while I'm there.
Ooh, we should get a discount too, I assume.
Well, if I ask nicely, part of my background lets me get free lodgings with other people that are...
What's the name?
the brewers of the country.
The Sogson Sisters Brewery.
What's the name of your union?
Oh, well, it's 5 gold per month is the union dues, and I don't rightly know. I haven't
The
done that
Glenhaven
enough
Local
yet.
541. Oh wait, I think that's electricians.
Since backgrounds are taking such an important role in the game, I thought I'd introduce mine too. A guild artisan.
Oh, very cool.
Nice.
Yeah,
That's
awesome. Yeah, so going by and meeting the Sogson Sisters could be really cool.
And by taking an important role, you mean Matt bragging that he can stay up late.
Well, it says fellow guild members will provide you with lodging and food if necessary, and pay for your funeral if needed.
Well, that's good to know.
Thank goodness.
Oh my gosh. Oh gosh. All right. Well, as somebody who's been to 2 funerals in the last 2 weeks, they're expensive. My goodness.
Oh, dude.
Oof.
Yeah, that was not
Who'd have
meant
thought
to be a downer.
D&D, like succession planning would be like a thing that people would think about for D&D?
That's right.
And today we are sponsored by that will writing software.
All right. As you guys approach the pier, you pull your way over, you paddle your way over, you toss some lines. There's a couple people working on the docks. They pull you over. They start tying you off. You see, there's a couple of other like keel boats that are here. You see a lot of like rowboats who just kind of pulled up onto the muddy beach, the muddy shore. You do see there is one larger ship that is tied off, and as you approach, you see it is quite large. We're talking like over 100 feet long. This is one of those ships that really you rarely see along the river because they are so hard to navigate through shallows and things. This is not like a full-on like war galley or something like that. It has 3 masts sticking up into the air. It has lines that are tied off. It has sailors moving all around it, climbing up in the rigging and things. This is like a sailing ship, and not just a sailing ship, but like a large sailing ship. The crew is probably 20 or 30 sailors just to crew the thing. You all tie off your vessel, the Lady Hawk, and as you are leaving your ship and walking down the docks, down this pier, you will actually end up having to walk relatively close to this large ship. I want everyone to make perception checks.
Ornan got a 9.
Guy got a 14.
Ooh, Markham got a nat 20 for 25.
Oh, nice.
Sylvie got a 16.
All right. Danon got a 13, and Annelise got a natural 20. Right along with Magram. Okay. Here is what you see. You begin moving down the pier as you can see that there are sailors who are currently unloading crates and things. Or maybe they're not unloading. Maybe they're loading onto the ship. You're not quite sure. It's like they're moving boxes around. You can see that there is like a first mate who is standing on the dock. She is directing people where to go.
Scarlett Johansson. All right.
I was thinking she looks like she looks like Sylvie from Loki.
Oh, a little bit.
Oh,
a little
okay.
bit.
You can see that
the braids coming out of nowhere and going nowhere.
What braids going nowhere? Oh,
Like she's got a braid just like cruising somewhere. That she's
Yeah,
got
it's
lost
from the back of her head. It's from the back of her head. It comes out underneath her lapel.
It must be like
all
4
good.
feet long to come from that angle.
Sure.
It's like a
She's got
giant
like
rat
one,
tail. A
one
giant
crazy
rat tail.
rat tail.
All right, I'll change the token, you guys.
No, it's great. Keep it. Please keep
You
it.
gotta keep her.
Oh, she's a babe. We're just gonna call her Ratty.
Yeah, we got ScarJo and looked like Kylo Ren a moment ago.
Yeah, you
Like
guys. So there's,
Walmart
there's,
Idris Elba.
It's just crawling with. It's just crawling with sailors. You can see the captain standing up at the forecastle. Looks relatively well dressed. This is definitely a nicer ship. I mean, it's big. This ship costs a lot of money, not just to buy, but to actually to use. This is probably the same size as the ship that the Baron left on with his convoy as they headed down towards Mirloff. As you look, you also see on board a couple of other figures. You can see that there is a guard who is dressed in the green and white of Alaron Barony. And as you look again, you see there's another one. You see that there's two, a man and a woman. They are milling about, kind of trying to stay out of the way. And as you trying to figure out what they're doing, you notice a couple of people standing on the deck. They are dressed in black robes with gold trim. You see a couple of Hemnolite worshippers of Aeona.
Those are the ones with only 4 hit points, so I'm not too worried about them.
Those are the wieners. They are standing around with perception
But
checks.
be cautious.
What you guys?
Too many wieners can still be a problem.
No, I refuse to believe that there's
I
such a
don't
thing
know.
as too many wieners.
Even
not
if they're
such a thing.
small, they can overwhelm you.
With these natural 20s,
I can handle them.
so Magram, you recognize that these Hemnolites, they are standing still. They are looking around, glancing around, but they are not moving. They are not like moving about the ship, and you get the distinct impression that they are not in charge. You see that standing near them, you see a couple of armored folk, heavily armored, plate armor, embossed with green and white of the nation or of the barony of Alaron. You see these two.
I really like her armor. That's really cool looking.
Yeah, that is you've got some cool art that you've got for this.
Yeah. So you see these two Alaron knights are standing around this last figure that is standing on the deck. As soon as Magram, you spot this guy, Annelise lets out a gasp and instantly pulls up her hood to hide her face as you see Prelate Lucius, one of the prelates from the temple of Aeona in Redlum, is standing on the deck, surrounded by two knights of Alaron of the barony. And one last thing, as you are looking, I want you to make Magram, since you spotted him, I want you to make a perception or insight check. So yeah, not perception. Make insight check. Make an insight check.
Yeah, I'll do an insight. A 20. Dirty 20.
Ooh, nice.
A dirty 20. As you are looking at Prelate Lucius, he seems at ease. He has his hands on the gunwale. He's kind of looking out at the city. But he is not making any move to get off the ship. And as you look, you recognize he's a prisoner. Prelate Lucius and these Hemnolite acolytes are prisoners on this ship that is heading south. They are captives, being guarded by these knights and guards of Alaron Barony.
Interesting.
Oh man, they're prisoners being shipped south on a boat, eh?
And as you glance around, be like, oh, this is a very interesting turn of events. You see, stumbling off of the ship with a guard following along behind him, you see a face you have not seen for a while. You see a man wearing nice clothes, not like rich clothes, but like this guy is a guy who doesn't look like he labors physically for a living. I think that's how I described him before. He has got
just the softest hands,
graying hair, a gray beard and mustache. The last time any of you saw him, it was actually Mogram and Ornan, and you saw him in the treasury of the Umbral Pike Keep when you went to go get your reward for taking care of the Ravenstone clan. But all of you know this man because you traveled with him from Baragrad to Redlam. You see Tobias, the tax collector / emissary of the Baron of Alaron, is getting off this ship, heading into Whitaker Bend and towards you guys. And that's where we're going to stop for tonight.
Hey, Annelise, that man there, that's Baron Thorn Darkheart's best friend.
He's our best friend too.
I don't think that's accurate, Ornan.
But he paid us a couple of times.
Yeah, he has
And we
not
drank with
seen
him.
you. Yeah,
And
he has
that
not
does not
seen
make
you.
one a best friend.
All right. Oh, and also, just so you know, the guard who is with him, his name is Garland.
The boss from Final Fantasy 1?
Yes, exactly. All right, you guys. Well, hey, thank you so much for playing. This was really fun. I had a really good time with this episode. I love these episodes where little hints are dropped and things, little wheels are put in motion. And you guys are on your way and new wrinkles keep getting introduced. I can't wait to see what happens next.
Hey, Tobias, do you want to trade boats?
You guys want to travel with Prelate Lucius?
This one's called the Lady Hawk.
Can we stop talking to this guy? I don't trust this.
We're not
think
talking
any of this
to
is
him.
really happening.
This is all after the
No,
end.
I know.
I said we're stopping there for the night. Oh gosh. Hey, anyway, hey guys, thank you for listening.
Sorry for not respecting your authority.
Mostly I'm just worried Ornan's going to run up and say something about his sister and then just cause a whole fight to break out.
Hey, you never
my
know.
gosh. Oh my
Words
gosh.
can really be effective.
All right. Well, hey, thank you guys for playing. Thank you all for listening and for joining us on this adventure. If you like what we're doing, go leave a review and a rating. It really helps us to be heard. And the more people who hear us, then the more people get to enjoy and then join our Discord so that they can then chat about their thoughts and their feelings. We have people who are making friends on the Discord. Didn't we have some romance on the Discord as well?
There's even some romance.
There was some romance in the Discord, so come join us. If you're looking for romance, come to join. forget Bumble. Forget Bumble and like, yeah. Don't do Hinge or Bumble or what's the other one? What's the good one? Don't do Tinder.
Don't do Christian Mingle.
Come join the 12-sided guys. We'll find your significant other.
Yeah, don't do Tinder. That's only how I met my husband. Don't do it.
Yeah, none of that stuff. Anyway, hey guys, thank you for listening. Thank you for playing. We'll be at FanX this year, 2024. And until we get together next time, we hope you have a great time.